Hello everyone, welcome again to my channel. My name is Temisan and I'm so happy to have you. Let's dive right into today's topic, the business leader. First of all, I'll start by defining who a leader is. A leader is someone who sits at the helm of affairs, either in the home front or in the business environment. I will be focusing today on the business leader. And a business leader, from my own definition, is someone who sits at the helm of affairs, who makes decisions, who controls and directs on different areas of a business. Now, business leaders are springing up every day. I would also be sharing some of my experiences in business leadership because I have been a part of a business for off and on 15 years, and then I have also worked as a leader on different jobs, like contract jobs. So they were not permanent roles, but I just did them and then came back to my main full-time job. So first of all, I would like to say something. Leadership has had so many misconceptions. Everybody wants to be a leader, thinking with the thoughts that, or with the idea that leadership is easy. With my experience, I do not think leadership is easy. Leadership is hard because you carry the decision and you carry the fate of a lot of people. So one wrong move can affect so many people. So you have to be very careful as a leader. And when I say careful, I don't mean that you be so careful that you cannot lead, but you be careful that you are objective in all that you do. Sometimes you might not need to be objective. That is the truth. There are difficult decisions that leaders make. So as a leader, you have to understand all those intricacies, because if you do not understand these intricacies, right, they have a way of affecting how you relate with the people that you're leading. In every business, for me, I have realized that there are the followers and there are the leaders. You just need to spend 20 minutes with a team and you will see, if without anyone telling you, you will know those that are followers and you will know those that are leaders. The leaders will automatically take initiative, move without much directive. They try to see how things move well. So that's the difference between leadership and management. I think I will do another video on leadership and management so that we can understand the difference. I remember in my leadership class, we learned a lot about leadership. The different kinds of leaders, the authoritative leaders, the democratic leaders, the servant leaders, right? Those are the ones I can remember now. However, in that class, we ended the discussion by saying that servant leaderships were the best. Well, I feel that it depends on the situation. In some businesses, you would need to be an authoritarian. In some cultures, authoritarian leadership flourishes. In other cultures, the servant leadership flourishes. In another culture, a democratic leadership will flourish. So I would advise you not to go for a one hook, line and sinker leadership style. Some people embrace all kinds of leadership. They have they understand and they have mastered the art of leadership to the point that they can apply different forms of leadership in the role that they are on. With that, I would also give some tips that have helped me in my leadership positions that I have as a lady in Nigeria. You have to know your onions if you want to be a leader. It's not just particular to the female folk, even to the men. If you do not understand your job, you'll be fooled. There are people that will want to beat you down. Every day, you have to wake up with the dedication to be the best leader you can be. Even your followers, they would always look for spaces where they can belittle you if you do not know your job. So as a leader, you have to be on top of your game. You might not know everything, but know a little of everything. The era where you say, oh, this is not my field, I do not know, that time is past. in this day and age where we have people with multiple degrees, multiple specializations on so many affairs, it is only important for you to know a little of everything. Know a little about sports, know a little about procurement, know a little about marketing, know a little about human resources, know a little about franchising. Just know a little, because in your growth and in your experience, you will find out that no knowledge is lost. Even if you do not have corporate experience, corporate leadership experience, any level you have had leadership experience, it's always valuable. You would need to provide solutions to things that when you speak, people will be like, okay, of a truth, this person has the skills, because it will be evident in the decisions you make. Leaders make decisions that affects a lot of people, and they make it, a good leader makes it in a way that at the end of the day, all parties to that organization, they might not all be happy, but that decision will be the right decision. So you see, it's a very, very sensitive position. And there are misconceptions about leaders. And today I will be sharing some light on that. There's this notion, when the part of the country in the part of the world that I'm from, in Nigeria, people, when you just say, this person is a leader, they say, this person is wicked. When you just say leader, they just say, this person is one-sided. This person is unkind. I don't know if it's peculiar to your own region, but those are the misconceptions that people have, but that you have to be confident regardless of the feedback you get as a leader. Regardless of the feedback your followers give to you, you have to be confident. You have to be sure of what you're doing, and you stand by the decisions you make, right? If you make a decision that brings the fall of the company, you have to own it. Don't be a leader that dogs, right? A leader, they say, leaders are, they should not be. Okay, so there's this other thing that leaders have to be strict. Leaders have to be straightforward in terms of discipline. They should not tolerate nonsense. Look, it is if you have not been a leader, that you can say those things and get away with it. But in the real world, right, a leader can be kind, right? Because you're faced with so many situations, varying the situations that are so unique that you might say, when the news hits you, for example, if the news hits you when you're in your car, you're driving to work, or you're in a bus going to work, and the news hits you that, maybe let's say a staff did something in the organization, and maybe the email gets to you on your commute to the office. As soon as you get the message, you might be like, by the time I get to the office, I'm going to make sure that this person gets a query, this person gets blah, 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 blah. Beautiful. And then you get there, and then you're faced with the staff in question. And then the staff explains the situation, and then you find yourself having empathy for that staff, and you find yourself being considerate. So I'm of the opinion that leaders can be empathic, leaders can show kindness, leaders can show empathy, and it's a good thing to show empathy because people see themselves in you. People see that you are a good person. And so whenever you now make a disciplined, strict decision, they understand that because of your empathic nature, you would have categorically analyzed and separated all the issues in a way that your final decision is the best. Leaders are bosses or managers. Well, people are also confused about that. Is a leader your boss? Is a leader your manager? Is a leader your... I feel that it depends on the individual who is having a leader or a manager or a boss. If I'm an employee of an organization and I have a manager, my manager can be a leader. If I have a supervisor, my supervisor can be a leader. So it depends on the individual. Is he or she working on the traits of leadership? Right? Is he or she being an example that can be emulated? Because leaders are people that people want to be like. They are people that it's almost easy for them to have like mini thems all over the organization. Now, we have to talk about something. In your life, I want to ask you a question. Please answer it in the comment below. Is leadership the same as position of authority? Let me know in the comment section. That is a question that I really want to know. Is leadership the same as position or authority? Let me know. Now, as a follower, there are rewards with becoming a follower, right? I think that some of us have been, they raised us to be followers. We were not really raised to be leaders. Leadership is something that we learned as we grew. It's something we learned as we interacted and became social, right? Because let me give you an example. A child in your house, right, that obeys all the rules and regulation. You clap for the child and say, "Oh, you're such a good and wonderful, obedient child." Why? Because the child follows on your instructions. The child does not object to your lead. Do you think you're raising a leader or a follower? Question for thought for you. Something to think on. Meanwhile, you have the kid, the other child, who when you say, "Do this," the child comes into an argument. "Why do you want me to do this?" And you say, "Because," okay, let's give an example. "Clean your room." And the child is like, "Why do you want me to clean my room?" And then you find yourself as a parent giving explanations to why your child who's living in your house should clean their room. Now, don't take that child to be stubborn. No, that child is only showing some characteristics that are inbuilt in them. So as a parent, don't be timid. You have a discussion with that child. You have to clean your room because it's your responsibility as a member of this family. That is a place where you stay. Your room is a place where you stay. That's where you have all your toys. That's where you have all the things that you love, right? So if you know you want to keep having those things, you have the responsibility and the duty to keep that place clean and safe. Now, when you give the child that sort of explanation, the child will then think, does it make sense or not? If it makes sense, the child might go ahead. It can still make sense and the child will not go ahead. So then that's a different thing you're dealing with. So I believe that as parents, we should be able to distinguish between we should be able to distinguish and find the leadership traits that are in our children or in the people that are under us. You might also be a leader and you have leaders under you. How do you manage these people? When you recognize a leader in your team, do you become intimidated that that leader wants to take over your position, or you lead that person and groom the person to be solid enough to possibly take your position? I am not a person who says, "Oh, I'm afraid that somebody will want to take my position." The position is there for the taking. If you think you're capable and you can do the job, let's have it. Let's fight it out. I'm using the word fight for lack of a better word at this time. Let's see how it goes. Bring your ideas, I bring my ideas. Let the best man win, right? If you win, perfect. If I win, perfect. It's a world where the best wins. So I don't think as leaders we should be intimidated, especially in my part of the world where people don't want another person to succeed. It's almost like we're bringing people down. We don't want, in some climes, some other business environments are different. Leaders have a lot of things to do. So if you focus on the main important things, you will not be worried about someone that's coming to take your position. There's so much to do in the world, right? So that's that. And then I think as a leader, you should have some traits. There are traits that if you are a leader in an organization and you need to find more leaders, what are the traits that you can look out for? Look out for people that are visionary, the people that they have big dreams and visions for the organization. Sometimes when you have a board meeting and you ask some of your employees to come and give a presentation, there are different ways to give the presentation. You understand? The leader would come up with robust plans and step-by-step ways on how to achieve those goals. They talk with all this inspiration and that their wings, they're full of eloquence and they know how to carry people along. Those are fantastic traits that if you carefully build on, you will see that you've raised successful leaders in your organization. Now, as a leader, right, you have to make sure that the team that works for you, they feel valued. You can't be a leader of yourself. Every leader has a team with which they work with. And that is to say, you must not make them feel like they're trash. Don't be a leader that's mean and evil. And when people see you coming, everybody's ducking. I don't think that's a good leadership style. because it doesn't work for my. I haven't seen anybody going through that kind of leadership style that has really done excellent work with it. So I would advise that you be a leader that people can come to, people can approach, people can seek advice, and you be the leader that can give feedback, because feedback is good for the people that are following you. You understand? If you tell a employee that, oh, you got this wrong, don't just say you got it wrong and walk away. No, you got it wrong. This is how you can be better. Get the result and give me feedback. And so you guide that follower to the point where they become leaders. Leaders lead. Please be a leader that leads. Don't be a leader that doesn't lead and is looking for other people to take their position. Leadership positions are very, very important in every business sector. And so I would advise that you continue to develop your skills to ensure that you're a better leader. Now, there are some drawbacks. As a leader, there are things you need to fight. And these things that you fight, right, they help you become better. Be a leader. Don't be a leader that lacks empathy. Fight your ego. Your ego is something that can blindside you to decisions. Because you're taking decisions that affect a lot of people, you cannot be blindsided. You have to make sure that you have all the cards on the table. When you have all these cards on the table, it's always easy to make better decisions. Don't assume, don't take anything for granted. Before you make any decision, make sure that you've turned and checked everything, so that when you're making a decision, you're confident that whatever decision you made, you can defend it. Don't be a leader that is quick to assign blame. Now, there are times where your team can make a mistake and do something terrible. They already know they failed. That is another thing I've understood with my experience. When your team fails, they know they have failed. So calling them and apportioning blames does not really help. I think it almost breaks down their morale to the point that sometimes it's difficult to get them back up. So as a leader, what I've practiced with my team, whenever they fail, I call them in a meeting and I say, this is where we missed it. I don't use the word fail. This is where we missed it, and how can we move from here to here? And I get their feedback. Whatever feedback they give to me as the places that they would have done better, we impute it and move. No time to apportion blames. Lastly, don't hold back credits. Give who credit is due. Give it to them. Don't take the credit for an employee. If you have followers under you and one of them did something great, and then you go to management and say it is you, it's wrong. You're already a leader. You don't need that extra point. You don't need it. It is the person that's following you that needs those extra points. So be a leader that encourages and gives credit to the right people. It doesn't take anything away from you, and it doesn't make you it doesn't even make you better, first of all, because it's not your idea. Now, with these drawbacks, it moves me to the place where I would like to say this, that from my experience, leadership wears so many hats that you have to learn to collaborate. Because if you don't collaborate, you can't build teams. You have to learn crisis management, because you're always putting out fires, either among your employees or between businesses, your competition. Do you understand how diverse the role of a leader is? You have to also be good in execution. You might not be perfect at execution, but your team can also help you execute your ideas. Have a team that you can throw your idea to. They can sit with it, work with it with you for a while, and then execute. Next, you have to understand change management. In my country, Nigeria, where policies sometimes are unstable, you have to be able to think on your feet. If, for example, the price of a certain material you use for your business has been stable and then it automatically shifts quickly, you have to be able to decide, do we use an alternative? Do we reduce and increase another ingredient or another material that can make it better? You have to be able to think on your feet. Change management. The next thing is you have to be able to hire performing teams. You have to have that instinct to select and know the people that can drive your vision. The next is you have to have personal style. I know this is interesting, but a leader has to have style, because remember, you are leading people. People are looking up to you, so your dress sense has to be on point. Your style, your charisma, all those things, they have to be on point, because you cannot go and say you're a leader and then people cannot say, oh, that's my boss, or oh, that's my madam, or oh, that's my. You have to be someone that people can look up to. You have to be a leader with strategy. Every time you're thinking of the strategies, the best strategies, so that when your team members or the people under you come to you, the people following you come to you with their problems, you have strategies to always give to them. That means a leader has to constantly read. A leader has to constantly educate themselves. A leader has to constantly take courses, build their skills, both soft and hard skills, build them to ensure that you're constantly growing, because you're handling so many situations at different times. Negotiation. As a leader, you have to constantly negotiate. You're negotiating salaries, you're negotiating dues, you're negotiating payments, you're negotiating so many things. You're negotiating even life, you're negotiating lifestyles. So you have to understand all intricacies, and then you have to be a good communicator. This communication is so important, and I will use my country as an example. In the NSAS event that took place in October, and the massacre that happened and everything, I understood the power of leadership by the time the president of Nigeria spoke on TV. He had the power at that time to transform his people from where they were to either better or to worse. You be the judge. Find the video and watch it. After that video, there was a website that crashed because a lot of people started to Google how they can migrate out of Nigeria. So I realized that leadership is powerful. Leadership has the potential to transform people's life. You would think that your life doesn't matter, but there is a way you will lead a group of people and they would conquer the world just because of how you communicate to them, how you sell things to them, how you make them believe they can achieve things. And so I would like to advise leaders, please, any kind of leadership position that you are in, realize that people's lives are in your hands. The way you tilt it, either left or right, forward or backward, upward or downward, it's all in your hands. And so be sensitive to everybody's plight, yet be objective and ensure that you're making the right decision. Sometimes you might not know whether the decision you're making is right or wrong, but as you do it, you get better at it. With this, I've come to the end of my video. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to ask your questions in the comment section. And don't forget to smash the like button. Until I come your way on another video, thank you so much for watching.